Hello, Open Ballots party. We are filming this on election day, but not releasing until after the polls close. Once the outcome is known, half of you are likely to be devastated, upset, and afraid, terrified of a worst-case scenario. So I want to give some reasons to be hopeful for a best-case scenario of what each presidency could look like. Taking Kamala to begin. First and foremost, she could enshrine and protect reproductive rights for women, which is massively popular across the country anyway, and she could replace the patchwork state laws with some national ones to reduce the chaos and suffering and stop throwing the women of Alabama totally under the bus. On the economy, we have no idea what the Democrats' actual economic plan is, which means it might be a good one. They could raise taxes to balance the budget, find an actual way to fight high food prices, build a lot of new housing, and generally be sensible. We can also hope that Kamala returns to a number of the unpopular but good policies that she disavowed during the campaign. On healthcare, she could abandon her hedging and implement an actual national health system for everybody, which is long overdue. She could implement an ambitious climate plan while not completely nuking energy prices. She could find something better for the people of my great state to do with their industry than fracking our beautiful mountains. And she could negotiate a reasonable gun control compromise to slash the deadliness of mass shootings. It also looks like the Democrats have finally come back to common sense on border security, so that's good. We just have to hope they stay there. And there are also some things that they could fail to do that would be nice. They could decide their censorship scheme isn't worth the electoral blowback. They could run out of interest or money in financing foreign wars. The Supreme Court could find a way to thwart the ongoing weaponization of the Justice Department. Speaking of which, they could not stack the courts. But probably most of all, as has been their main campaign message, there could be something of a return to normalcy. We could have a normal, boring president with a nice smile. We could have competent professionals running our federal agencies. We could have a news cycle not dominated by the deranged Twitter rantings of the leader of the ruling party and his cronies. We could have a nice, normal leader who looks good in the suit and who everybody could maybe at least pretend to be proud of, or at least smile in the family pictures. On the other hand, imagining a Trump victory. It sounds like he's going to start drilling a lot, which should slash prices for energy, food, and housing right away. And maybe we're already so behind on climate action that what's another 4 years? He'll certainly tighten the border, and in a best-case scenario, he's rebuffed in his mass deportation plan and only succeeds in kicking out the cartel gangs and serial criminals, which is the important part. I think it's very doubtful he'll be able to get rid of Obamacare, since he failed last time, and it's a lot more popular now. Or maybe his concepts are just so great that every member of Congress will immediately agree to vote on them. He could keep his campaign promise to not touch abortion at all and leave it to the states, which would be good for women in blue states, and perhaps the red state women will get fed up and win their rights back with ballot measures or by threatening their legislatures. Trump could also do a good job with selective tariffs and bring a lot of manufacturing jobs back home. But I think some of the most truly exciting prospects are among the riskiest. He could pull out of all the foreign wars and maybe the world won't go to hell. He could put RFK in charge of agriculture, and RFK could finally do something about the abysmal quality of our national food and obesity and chronic disease, and he could stop there and not do any other crazy shit. Trump could also put Elon Musk in charge of cutting government programs, and if things go really well, he could slash government waste, get rid of the justice system corruption, and kill government censorship apparatus, kill it so dead that nobody could see it rising again in this age of the world. And of course, if Trump decides that he's really going to retire in 2028 and therefore has no reason to keep pushing the election fraud narrative, he could actually restore public confidence in elections by implementing some reforms like paper ballots, in-person voting, some sensible limited voter ID laws, and if not single-day voting, at least single-day counting. Finally, like with Kamala, there are some things we'd really prefer him not to do. He could not fill 3 million government jobs with partisan cronies. He could not dismantle the election systems. He could not have a bad day and start World War III. He could not implement a bunch of his wild tax cut campaign promises and nuke the budget. He could not let RFK ban vaccines. He could not use the military to punish his political opponents. And generally, he could not turn the country into a fascist playground. I think what I'm trying to say with this comparison is it's a shame they both can't win, right? But seriously, there is a general best case scenario, and I'm not sure which candidate is more likely to bring it about, though I don't have high hopes for either, where the fog over our national dialogue is lifted and people start talking to each other again, and the country comes together, and freedom returns, and the violence stops, and compassion and fellowship reign once more. It's all possible. How much of any of this is likely? Hard to say. My only prediction here is that whoever loses, it will probably be for the right reasons, and whoever wins, it will probably be for the wrong ones. Anyway, maybe by the time this video is released, you, fellow Americans, will already have made your choice. I hope it brings you happiness. I hope it brings you everything you ever wanted. I really do. Working on this campaign has taught me that I'm perhaps more rare than I thought in knowing and loving plenty of people who are voting for both candidates. Every one of you, my friends, are adorable, delightful people who want good things for this country, and many of you are honestly upset, scared, and panicked about the terrible things that could happen if the wrong side wins, and for very good reasons. But those things might not happen. Good things might happen instead. I love you all so much, and it makes me sad to see you so anxious. Whatever happens, or has already happened, there's always a chance it turns out for the best. And if not, do try to remember, nothing evil ever lasts, and nothing good is ever gone forever. Thank you, my friends. We may have another update once the results are known, and we know which candidate among the three of us shall be asked to lead our country.